welcome back to my channel. So we're starting out with some frames from Dollar Tree. I got 8x10s. Make sure that in the back of the frame you're not going to be able to see anything once you take all of the filling out. So here's some of the prints that I'm going to be using. I didn't invert any of these pictures simply because I forgot. But luckily the pictures that I chose, they would look good whether they're facing front or backwards. So that's something to take into consideration depending on the type of picture that you want to use. So I went ahead and cleaned the glass off camera, and then we're basically just going to put the glass over top of one of your drawings that you printed out, and you're just going to go ahead and trace it. I did use a Sharpie, which does work good, but I have another marker that I wish that I would have used instead. It's not a Sharpie. I got it from Michael's. It's like a craft marker, but the reason why I preferred it was because it had a thinner tip. So if you're going to do this, then I would suggest using a fine tip. For some of the projects that I did, this marker was completely fine. But if you're going to do something more detailed, then you definitely should use a fine tip marker. I'm tracing everything except for the outline of her face and her shoulder because I'm gonna go ahead and paint that a different color later on in the video. So here's where I messed up, and I basically just took a Q-tip and some nail polish remover to remove that, and it literally just comes right off. So this particular one, I wanted to write something, but I didn't want to use like any type of stencil. I wanted to do it myself, and I was kind of going for like a Ray Dunn type of font. So here's where I started using the thinner tip marker, and you can tell the difference of when I'm using it compared to the thicker lines. It just makes it 10 times easier, and it's better to use like on those small areas like her fingers and her nails and the stems of the flowers and things like that. And you'll be able to tell like when you're painting why it's better to use a thin tip marker, because you don't have to try to cover it up so much. It's easier to cover. Here's another technique I used. If you don't want to freehand anything, you can use your phone to basically just trace whatever onto the glass. And these are the same letters that I used in my last video. I got them from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to go ahead and put them on the glass so that I can trace them and outline them with paint. So here I put the drawing back under the glass so that I could basically trace it with brown paint. I'm just outlining like the bridge of her nose, her chin, and her shoulders in brown, and the rest of the painting is going to be black. But if I would have done this, if I would have traced it over the black marker, then you would have been able to see it on the other side. That's the reason why I didn't outline it. And this picture is going to be inverted, so I didn't want that to show. So, something that I picked up on when doing these is that it's best to just dab the paint like you see me doing here instead of doing strokes. When you do strokes of paint, it shows on the other side and it can come out uneven, but this way it just looks so much better and more seamless. And I'm going to flip over the painting in a little bit so that you can see exactly how it's turning out. Now for the final step, the little prongs that were in the frames, you can easily just snatch them out or take like a tweezer or a plier to just rip them out. Here I'm putting hot glue, like a dot of hot glue in each corner, and then I'm putting it along the sides. You can use a Q-tip to spread it out. And then I'm also putting hot glue on the outsides just to secure it. And this is fast drying, so it works great.